Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and it's time for us to tell you if you should spend your money or not.
Are these cards worth buying for Commander?
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content, which means I have to wish a happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today because we support birthdays here at the Nitpicking Nerds. And if you want to support us, there's a link in the description. Patreon.com is the best way to do that.
Yes, best way because it's a direct support of the nerds and this channel. Other ways to support us include tcgplayer.com, affiliate link in the description below. Use the affiliate link, buy the magic cards you were going to buy anyway. Get them for the exact same price, but you support the nerds. Same is true for Dragon Shield, EU, US links in the description below. Go to the website, buy the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
And you will be supporting the nerds with spending no extra dollars.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into this video. We do this all the time. It's viewers on our Discord submit cards and they say, are these worth buying in Commander? And we say, if you can afford this, it either is or is not worth buying.
Yes, so it's, can you afford it? Do you have a deck that this card fits in? And the third disclaimer is a mid to mid-high power level, 6 to 8, that we always talk about in our videos.
The first one is a big one, submitted by Shigure. It's Mana Crypt, sitting at $163, Cherries.
Well, Mana Crypt is an extremely, extremely interesting one. So let's just start from the perspective of pure power. If you're looking to power up your deck and you have $163 still around, yes, this is worth it from a pure power perspective. It is the most powerful card in the Commander format, and you're going to have to push it way beyond 163 for me to say no from a power perspective. Now, there's a complete other side to this. We're talking about a 6 to 8 mid to mid-high power level. This is not necessary. You don't need this, and Mana Crypt is known to ruin a lot of Commander games, so I generally don't even put this in my decks unless I'm pushing toward right from that edge of like that 8 to that 9 where I want this card.
I think we almost have two different answers. One is from a strictly power perspective, yeah, Mana Crypt is insane. I'm surprised it's only $163. And then from a fun/interesting perspective, nope, you don't need it. Decks don't need more Soul Rings to be more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. You don't need this card. It is insanely good to the point of unfun in a lot of situations.
Right, so it could take things from an 8, which you want, to like, or maybe you want a 6. Anytime you draw Mana Crypt, you're not playing at a 6. Trust me.
Yeah, sometimes
turn 1 Rhystic Study.
A turn 1, turn 1 Mana Crypt can literally take a 6 to playing at a 9 level above everyone else at the table. Up next, Weekend Shorts editor Galix suggests Retrofitter Foundry, sitting at $42. BZ, what do you think?
Oh my God, $42. I was looking at this card and I'm like, oh, neat. This is a cute little effect from a precon. Oh, $5. That's pretty expensive. That was like a year or two ago when I needed it for a deck. It's only gone up. I think it saw some Fringe Legacy play or something, so everybody needed it, and there weren't enough to go around because everybody still had them in their decks. I don't think this card is even close to worth it. I don't know what, like, I know you have the deck for it. You're making tokens. You care about artifacts. $42? No.
Even so, even the decks that want this, I look at that and I'm like, first thing, it's super niche.
It's not even that good.
It is so niche. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm making tokens and I want this. It's like, I'm making tokens and I care about artifacts and maybe I can make infinite mana. And then it's just like, what are we doing with this thing to make it worth $42? I just don't see it. This card is okay. And if you have one in your collection, yeah, there's decks for it. Definitely. If you have one already, throw it in the deck. But, oh no, not spending $42 ever.
Yeah, it's always if these are worth buying. So if you have them, you don't need to listen to any of this video because you just have the card. But no, this will never perform that well. There's no way I'm ever spending $42 on this card now because I've played it plenty of times. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just okay. You just don't need this card, and you certainly don't. What you can get 2 fetch lands for $42 right now, so that is so much better.
The next one submitted by Vaynar, it's Herbask The Hidden. Now we usually only talk about cards that are $5 and higher. Herbask is like $4.50, and I'm sure they'll probably trend up over time because of all the Praetor secret layer stuff. You can get this one for really cheap. And he makes all your guys have haste and all your opponent's guys enter tapped. This is like approaching a budget haste enabler.
Yeah, $4 is absolutely worth it for Herbask. This card isn't overpowered or broken in any sense, but in the power range, especially in 6 and 7, and maybe not quite in 8, but in 6 and 7 for sure, this card is really good. I want to put this in the deck. I haven't had my chance to put Herbask anywhere yet, but he's overperformed in Commander Cube, and I know both these effects are good. I've seen the entering tap thing on Blind Obedience for creatures. It's super annoying. Mm-hmm. I've seen the haste. We all know how good giving your team haste is. So he's got to be a strong Magic card, and I definitely want to get him in a deck.
Yeah, he's got disruptive and then productive abilities, and they're both pretty good.
On top of that, Herbask, you're seeing the normal version on here, but that's not the one worth $4.50. It's actually the Phyrexian one from the Secret Lair, and it looks cool. It's not foil. It's not going to pringle up on you. It just looks awesome.
Yeah, I grew up with the Praetors, so I know what they all do by heart, and I think some people don't like that. But if you know what Herbask does and your friends know what Herbask does, slam the Phyrexian version.
God, it's so awesome. This next one, fittingly suggested by God/Dios, is Omniscience. $14. Now this one, you got to go back. You know, we say it in the beginning every time. We repeat it a few times through the video. Do you have a deck for it? Most likely not, because Omniscience is not a card you throw in a lot of decks. But the decks that want Omniscience, this is a yes at $14. It is so good. In the decks that want it, the decks that are cheating into play, winning the game every single time they slam it, it's amazing. I mean, it's a win kind of. It's literally 10 mana. If you get it on the battlefield, you'll win.
Yeah, it goes in the decks that can draw a bunch of cards and play a bunch of other big things that have tutors probably, and it's kind of a unique effect. There's only one other card I can think of that comes even close to Omniscience, and it's Dream Halls, which is way more expensive. Omniscience is just like a one-of-a-kind card. If you have a deck that wants to just go absolutely ham sandwich with card draw, yeah, you could totally play Omniscience. Or if you have a way to cheat it out already, you're playing Academy Rector or something, get that Omniscience in there.
Yeah, I just think the key to Omniscience is making sure that you are cheating into play, getting it into play early, ramping a lot. It's a card I think is overplayed in Commander.
Oh, yeah.
I think it goes into, like, you can just throw this in any deck, but you shouldn't. But I'll emphasize it again. The decks that want this, it is one of the best cards to win. It's your win con. It is just an awesome card. And it is one of the coolest, most over-the-top, splashy effects Magic's ever printed.
I would go change that a little and not say the decks that want this, because if it wants it, obviously you should put it in. But any deck that is interested in going big could benefit from Omniscience.
Maybe that is a better way to word it. I love Omniscience, and I think I love it because it is a extremely powerful card, but it's also an extremely Timmy card. It's so over the top, like ridiculous.
I like the corner cases where you play it and it doesn't even do anything because you're out of cards.
I've been there. I've ran out of cards before where it's like, okay, I have a draw spell to follow this up, and you play the draw spell and it whiffs.
You're just like, okay.
Okay, sure hope no one blows up my Omniscience and I untap and draw a good card.
User 400 Houses wants to know if Goldspan Dragon at $30 is something we would consider worth buying in Commander. I can give a pretty quick answer to this. In most of the decks you want it, no, I don't think it's worth it at all. The only one I would say yes to is Treasure Tribal, and that's not all the decks that want Goldspan Dragon. So overall, I'm just going to round up to no.
Yeah, Goldspan Dragon is a good card, and it is a very playable card in Commander.
That's fine.
It's not broken. It's good. I think good. Maybe it's kind of around that Retrofitter Foundry range where it's like, this card will perform. This card will do things. This is a card that if I see it in the Commander deck, I'm not going to go, ew, why is he playing that? I'm going to go, oh, okay, that card's pretty cool. It's pretty good.
It's one of the only Mythic Dragons I'll do that for. So
yeah, exactly. So, but $30 is a lot of money for a card that's just okay. So I'm not going to spend $30 on it most likely, but I was going to say the exact same thing as you, actually. I was planning it out in my head, like, what do I want to say about Goldspan Dragon? And yeah, exactly. If you're going to have, every single game, you're going to have 10, 20 treasures out, okay, I am totally in
or
for
even
this.
5.
If you're going to, every game you're going to have 5 to 10 treasures out. I'm in for this. I think maybe a Prosper deck might be like one of the few situations where I could see this being worth it.
Yeah, I'm not getting, like, in Dragon Tribal, maybe because your dragons are so ridiculously expensive and you'll take anything playable at less than 6 mana. But there's a lot of decks that I've seen this in that I just don't think it's worth it, so be very careful. And I'll say Dragon Tribal, treasures, yes. Everything else, no.
Yeah, overall, it's a no.
Yes.
But there are definitely the niche decks that want it. Our sixth one here, guy with a mustache, suggests, that's all one word just in case you're wondering why I said it so weird, suggests Fierce Guardianship, and it's $48. This one is sort of similar to Mana Crypt for me, where it's the same kind of situation, but Fierce Guardianship is interaction, and it's fair. Yeah, it's going to stink because when you get somebody, it makes them feel a little bad, but the card's so good. It's so good. Free counter spells are bonkers.
I don't think Fierce Guardianship changes the speed of a game, and it's not going to throw people off center and just go, oh, you have Fierce Guardianship before the game even starts? Oh, we're not even going to win. It's just an extra oomph when you already build out your board state, and then they try to mess you up, and you protect yourself, and they go, oh, no. And that's totally fine. I think this is way different just because it falls in the 6 to 8 power. This can kind of fit in most of the upper halves in either an insane competitive or just I have a good deck and I want to protect my commander. I think $48 is not a hefty price to pay, so I'm going to say this is worth it.
It is worth it. I guess what I'm thinking is this is one of those cards that I kind of like to not include in every single one of my decks because it just goes in every single blue deck. I guess that's how I feel. It's so good. And if my commander is going to be on the battlefield, which is I'm playing commander, the way I play commander, my commander is going to be on the battlefield because that's how
likely.
That's how I'm going to play the game. So Fierce Guardianship's always insane. So sometimes when I build a blue deck, I go, maybe I'll leave Fierce Guardianship out of this one, but it is definitely worth that $48 price tag.
Yeah, the only time we wouldn't play it is for sameness. So, like, if we're talking first copy, 100% you need a first copy. Get it in whatever your coolest deck is that you want to protect your commander, and it'll always do work.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The first one for your first blue deck, yeah, you absolutely want that Fierce Guardianship.
Your fifth one,
you might, yeah, you
branch out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try some other counter spells.
I'll even condone 1 through 4. All right, user Smlev suggests Auger of Autumn at $6. Auger of Autumn lets you look at your top card. You can always play it if it's a land, but if you have Coven, which is pretty easy to do, you can play creatures or lands off the top and kind of like do a fair Bolas the Citadel where you actually have to pay for the magic cards you want. I have not really liked this card. I don't get the price tag hype for it. So for me, this is honestly like a really easy no, but I know you have a way different opinion of it.
Yeah, Augur of Autumn is a card I decided it got a lot of hype, and I wasn't as hype on it, and I put in the deck. I mean, Coven is extremely easy to do. I think that's something that is trivial, and you can almost have it every single game. It basically only asks you to control 3 creatures, with some exception of some cases you're going to be like, oh no, these 2 share power. But especially if you have any deck that can switch powers and stuff like that, I'm a fan. I think Augur of Autumn is worth $6, and it does perform pretty dang well, and it's really a nice card advantage engine. Is it perfect, and is it the best card ever? No, but at $6, I can definitely, if you only want to put $150 into a deck, this is a good card to get.
That I will give you, but I'm not going to say yes overall when you just have a higher budget. If you have no budget or a $300 budget, I like all of the other creature matters, card draw better, even if most of them aren't creatures. I just don't. I think there's a lot of fail cases with Augur of Autumn, and I'm not really interested in it. It's especially early game when you can only play lands. It's kind of a blank. I don't like Courser of Kruphix, for example.
Yeah, but I'll take Courser of Kruphix that can level up. But basically, I'll take
maybe.
So I'm in for yes, and BZ's out.
Still no. When I said maybe, I actually meant no.
He meant no, and I'll say yes. Now for the most mature username in our whole server, Holiday Fart Cruise suggests Nexus of Fate at $28. This one is so hard for me to say yes or no. And the main reason is usually the main function of a Nexus of Fate is to be the win con for your self-mill deck. And you can usually now it's more exciting and it's better and it can do more early game than like a Thoracle. But Thoracle is just so much cheaper, and Jace is cheaper, and Labman is cheaper. Now this card is super effective, and I really do like it. I'm going to say no, but it's I want to say this is like the closest one for me on this list where it's like, I'm not sure if Nexus of Fate is worth it. It is super good, though.
Nobody thinks this card is cooler than me. I love this card, and I don't know why, because I don't really care about the other extra turn spells. I think it's because you can't stop. You just cannot stop this card unless you're interacting with it on the stack and exiling it. You can't do anything to this. It's like the most guaranteed win ever when your deck is empty. Like, it's more guaranteed than Thassa's Oracle because they can just counter that and it'll go to the graveyard. This just goes on top if that's your only card left if they counter it. I love this card. I think specifically in like the decks where it can be a win condition, I'm all in for it. I think it's very worth it. Otherwise, no. There's a lot of decks that maybe just have a bunch of extra turn spells. Like maybe if you're just going to buy, you just need any 7. You don't necessarily need to go to Nexus. But if you're drawing a ton of cards and your deck's going to be less than 50 cards ever, I'd probably recommend Nexus.
Yeah, it is definitely very strong. It's just so close to me. I want to say, I'll say yes.
Oh, we got him.
Because Nexus of Fate is good, and I have played Nexus of Fate, and I've been very happy with it. But at the same time, when I'm pushing, this is one of those ones kind of like we talked about a couple times in this where it's like, for fun, Nexus of Fate can get very miserable.
Yeah, as a piece of advice, make sure your turns are speedy. There's a reasonable way to do it, and there's an unreasonable way to play it. If you do it a bunch and you're not careful, or even accidentally you're taking a long turn, that could have some negative fun impacts on the game.
That's just extra turns in general. It's not. That's not Nexus of Fate only. That's extra turn spells can be miserable because they tend to monopolize a lot of time.
I think that's the only one I really play is Nexus, right? I don't think I've ever really played another one.
I've played a few Expropriates here.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't extend the game. That ends the game.
Yeah.
All these usernames are hot fire today. We got Frankie Smith wants to know, Skyclave Apparition. A, how have we not talked about this yet? And B, is it worth it for $6? This is one of the literal best white cards in Commander, period, full stop.
Yeah. The card's very, very strong, and $6 is super easy. I like to have ways to recur this, obviously. Use it again. If it's going to the graveyard and I can bring it back with a Sun Titan, that's already a sweet interaction. Stiven's Reclamation brings this back from the graveyard. Any flicker effect. I'm in for this. Just make sure I don't want to just be using it once and then be done with it forever. Now, you don't need a ton of synergy, but as long as you can reuse it, I'm in 110% for $6. Skyclave Apparition is worth it.
In any white deck or any white-based deck, it already synergizes with the other best white cards you could be playing. So they all just go together. And it's so fantastic because they don't ever get it back. It's not an O-Ring. O-Ring sucks. This just turns it into some stupid token. Soul Ring, it's gone. Later, you're going to get a 1/1. I could not care less about that. I love Skyclave. It overperforms every single time. It's worth it for $20, let alone $6. It's super mega worth it.
Yeah, $6, 100% worth it. So last one here. Llama, just a normal Llama,
nice.
Suggests the card Petras Grasp, which is $15. Now, in the range of decks that we're talking about, Petras Grasp is just not worth it overall, I don't think. That being said, if you play against these decks with one win con and cards that if you Petras Grasp them, you might just be able to disrupt them a ton. Yeah, it's really good in those decks.
I had a deck that Nexus of Fate was the only way to win. And if you Petras Grasp it, that's one of the only ways in the format to stop a Nexus of Fate because you just never play it.
Yeah, exactly. And I absolutely think that's hilarious that when you can do that. But $15 is a lot. This is an underperforming card. You have literally the issue with this card is it is old wording for this type of effect where you don't get to spend mana of any color on it. Now, 3 mana tutor out of my opponent's library would be okay. It may be worth $15 because of the disruption factor. But 3 mana tutor out of my opponent's library and I can't necessarily play it. Now I'm out. Now I'm 100% out.
See, I was out as soon as you said 3 mana tutor. I don't think Grim Tutor is worth it, and this is worse than that. It's like a 3 mana tutor, which I'm already pretty low on. I'm really not going to want that. Except you can't even get a card that you can actually use. You have to hope that somebody has a card that you can actually use, or guess who has a card in their deck, when I'd so much rather just go for my deck, and I know I have all the answers for any situation. This is a meme card to me, and I'm definitely, for power or like effectiveness, never going to say yes.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. You just don't want to go for it. But
and 4 mana Soul Ring, that's not a thing.
Yeah, it is always a 4 mana Soul Ring, which is not very good. But I mean, the disruption factor is if you play in a meta where the disruption factor is relevant, that's the only place I want it. Other than that, absolutely not.
Who's playing a 1 win con deck?
We've seen it.
I mean, I bet one as a meme or like as a fun thing, but I wouldn't really recommend that.
I mean, I'll take your Imperial Archangel up.
No, that's just the coolest card in my deck.
But that's our video. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as you can without making you uncomfortable. Thank you all for supporting this channel directly and making our dream of making content full time come true.
Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good birthday today. All those 1 out of 365 of you watching this video, because there's probably a solid chunk of people. So I'm wishing you the best of birthdays. Bonus wishes at the end of the video. You can support us on Patreon. Definitely the best way to do that. Or TCG Player, when you want to buy cards. Because here's what happens. You go to our link in the description. You buy the cards. Then, as soon as you check out, we're getting a kickback without you even knowing about it. You're not paying for it or anything. We just get money.
Yep. Also, same thing is true for Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Yep. You go get those sleeves off the website. Get their custom sleeves. They're absolutely amazing. Or any other sleeve that you want from them. They have playmats also. They have some other stuff. Check them out. Get whatever you want from that website, and you're supporting the nerds without spending an extra dime.
We'll have to ask them, because I know Dragon Shield's working to redo their slogan. We'll have to ask them, because we've done it so much now. Either they pick best sleeves in the multiverse, parentheses, good sleeves.
Or we just keep saying
we just keep saying this over and over, and they'll have to change it again later.
Yeah, eventually, because we'll have said it so much more than any other. Like
they're not saying it.
Yeah, they're not saying it.
We're gonna say on YouTube.
We're gonna say it more than Toughest Scales.
Exactly. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot it was their slogan too. So last part of the video, tidbit about our lives.
Ooh.
Sometimes in Nitpicking Nerds we procrastinate a little bit. I actually tweeted out this morning about how we're definitely not recording a video for the same day release.
No, who would do that?
Yeah, no. Why would we ever put ourselves in such a situation?
That would be stupid. What did we spend all of yesterday drafting a format that was mega draft? I think we drafted 8 booster packs, and we built 100 card decks. That wasn't what we were doing. We were making a video.
Yeah, exactly. We did not play Mega Draft yesterday.
But it was fun to say Mega Draft.
Mega Draft. Yeah, we played Mega Draft yesterday, and it was super duper fun. But it pushed us into today for recording. So this is actually, you're seeing the nerds, what we look like the day of the video release.
I never wake up this early. I usually wake up at like 10:30, and I woke up at like 8:30 today.
Yeah, if you want to know what time we got up, just go to Twitter, because you can just see what time I tweeted out the tweet, and you'll be like, oh, that's exactly when the nerds got up.
Yeah, if anyone's watching, you obviously care about what we have to say, so go follow us on Twitter.
We don't say that much on Twitter, though.
But go follow us on Twitter.
If you enjoy.
We post, we used to not post. You're thinking of that. We literally just post like all the time now.
We do post. I post on Twitter pretty much daily.
That's it.
Yeah, that is
Leave.
It. Peace out, Tribe Scouts. Scouts.